Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order here. This is a special session so that we can handle some urgent matters. And we really only have one agenda item, which is discuss and possibly approve the authorization of some furlough days. Yeah, Debbie's going to pop up the agenda. So with that, really, we're going to go ahead and let Paul give the introduction.
Sure. Thank you, everybody, for joining in on this special session for this one singular purpose. I have communicated with the board a couple of times about the potential for a furlough for employees for the remainder of the school year, for several days between now and the end of the school year, and taking advantage of what's called the work share program. And so tonight I am forwarding a recommendation to you for your consideration. That recommendation is to go ahead and furlough the remaining Fridays of the school year for all employees. I'm going to stop talking here in a minute and have Assistant Superintendent Bush kind of give you some more details. But the long and short of it is we can take advantage of this program because the CARES Act provides additional funding so that our employees would not be harmed. What this does also is it changes the school year calendar for students. So this would impact 3 student learning days. The 15th to tomorrow is already scheduled to be a professional development day. That would be the first day of furlough. So that's not going to impact the students. And the other days would be the next 3 Fridays. And then the final Friday would be June 12th. But that's also already scheduled as of now to not be Student Contact Day. So with that, I'm going to ask Assistant Superintendent Bush to fill in the gaps and give you a little more details.
Great, thank you, Paul. So quickly just give a great thank you to our associations for their willingness to come to the table and discuss this. And so I'll try to be brief here that we began working with SFBA yesterday, and we were able to reach an agreement early this morning, and they had ratification of their membership to have 5 furlough days that will start tomorrow. And as Paul said, tomorrow was a professional development day. There will likely be some adjustments. We've got some MOUs that might need to be adjusted in that, but essentially, like Paul said, the next 5 Fridays for our teachers will be furlough days. And as he talked about, we will be working under the work-share program. There's a lot of details to work out there. But that is the plan for our licensed teachers, is 5 furlough days starting tomorrow. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to. Go ahead. I have one more thing to offer as far as our why that we're doing this.
Okay. And so then on the for our classified folks, we met today, and we also came to an agreement of 5 furlough days, essentially commencing tomorrow for most of them. As you're probably aware, our classified folks have varying degrees of lengths of their contract. Also, we had some important functions to continue tomorrow, since this was a little bit of a rush decision. So, for instance, we still have meals to deliver tomorrow, and so there are some groups of our classified folks that will not start furloughing until their first furlough will not be until next Friday. But they will still get 5 furlough days. They will just, because they work beyond the school year, they will have a furlough day after the school year is over. And so that allows us to have secretaries be able to assist in that capacity. Food service will continue to work tomorrow to complete meals. Custodians will work tomorrow to clean up after food service and things like that. So we do have some employees that work beyond the school year, and all administrators will be also working tomorrow to assist in those endeavors to be on the buses, because a lot of the classified folks that are on the buses delivering We have administrators coming in to support that. So so they will be, for those employees, they'll start next week on furloughs. So I know there's probably a lot of questions, and I'm not sure what details you would like to hear about. And I apologize, I did not get those MOUs to you sooner. They were just literally being done less than an hour or so ago. So apologize that you didn't have those in front of you. So I can speak to any questions you have related to either one of them.
I'd like to also just provide one more clarification. The reason we're doing this is to shore up the ending fund balance for this year. When we do this, these 5 days, the district will be saving approximately $600,000. And what that does is help us transition into next year, so that the level of cuts we have to make in next year's budget will just be that much less. That's why we're doing this.
Very important point.
I would like to ask a brief question, if I may, to Dan. So is this, and to Paul, is this to help save or sustain jobs for next year? Or is it simply to save money right now because of the time we're in?
Whatever we save this year helps reduce the impact on next year's budget. And as I've talked about in previous meetings about the budget, when we look at budget cuts, we take a very balanced approach across the entire scope of the budget. And I've used this phrase before, and that is that we don't balance the budget on the backs of any one group of employees. So, we want to look at our whole entire budget. That goes to everything from spending further into our reserves, all of our positions that are the people that we employ, to our supplies and materials, and what are the other operational savings that we can find in the budget. We'll be looking at all of those things, so that if we can save this $600,000 right now, that really helps us for next year to have to make even fewer reductions.
So I think if you remember from a previous meeting of some kind, there's been a lot lately. For every $100 million that the state cuts from the fund, that equates to around $620,000 to Silver Falls. So essentially, by doing this, so if the state cuts $100 million, this essentially takes care of that. So I think that's a very simple and easy way for me to understand it. So and and that will save jobs.
I don't know if all the board is aware.
Thank you.
Dan, would you give a 10,000-foot view of the CARES Act and how it plays into this decision?
Right. Well, let me back up and talk a little bit about the work share program, because I think that's how this works. Is that the Oregon work share program, which has been around for a while, is to avoid layoffs. It allows a group to apply for a work share to furlough to save jobs, and so you apply as a kind of an entity to have all of your employees take a furlough to save people from losing their job, period. So that's the context that this is under. What makes this kind of advantageous is that because of the Federal CARES Act, when employees are on unemployment and take and have a financial impact to that, they will get $600 a week of federal CARES money in addition to their Oregon unemployment. So that's where there's an advantageous nature to this program, so that our employees are not having a financial impact to this. So that's kind of how those two things work together, and why we were able to reach agreement. Is that a good 10,000-foot view?
Yeah, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
I support this, but one of the challenges we have is it sort of is also an oddly perverse incentive, because it actually generates more revenue for the vast majority of employees in an ironic twist, all coming from sort of taxpayer money. So I'm just wondering how we balance the amount of furlough days with sort of finding that common, the break-even point, right? Because what efforts were taken to achieve that?
Yeah, I mean, those were a little bit, I think we got a little bit behind, there was such a rush on this that when we went to the table yesterday in terms of talking, are we talking 4 days or 5 days? And by adding a fifth day this week, I mean, that was somewhere in the ballpark of $120,000 to $150,000 right there. And that's, was the motivating factor for us to try to initiate to get as many of these as we could with little impact to kids and instruction and all those things. So, I mean, I can see your point. There's certainly some philosophical beliefs about how this packages together. But I do think that, whatever perspectives that are out there, I will still argue the $600,000 back into the general fund is going to protect jobs in Silver Falls for next year.
Thank you. I agree for what it's worth.
Yeah.
I sort of found myself in a predicament because I want to save the money, and I absolutely don't want the teachers or the other staff and employees to be, to lose income. And the flip side of that is this sort of worked out in a strange way for me philosophically.
Yeah, and I think some of these programs that are out there, without getting off topic, I mean, there's some things out there that provide incentives for instance, the work share idea itself is to save jobs by furloughing. So it creates a system that creates an incentive. So I tried not to let my brain get into other people's decision making. Let the politicians deal with that. But there was an opportunity to come together. There was an incentive clearly to provide this to save jobs. So I want to answer a common question that came up throughout. Two common questions. What is about our employees' ability to access unemployment? Because we've all heard the stories about people trying to get through. So we actually we submit the unemployment applications on behalf of the employees. So they don't need to go stand in line and make all the phone calls for that. So we already have begun the plans for how to do that for them. So so I don't want to misspeak, but we will be doing that on their behalf. So it's not a case of they've got to be and worry about the length of time. Now, certainly other districts and other groups are taking advantage of work share, so there could be some delay there, but you actually get a person within the Oregon department that's working with for your case. So all of our employees will, from our understanding, will be working with, we will be working with a person with the Oregon Unemployment Department on behalf of all of our employees. So I know that was a big concern for people. I think we alleviated a lot of concerns there. I know that there was also some concerns. There are employees that are not eligible under this for a few different reasons. I think we identified 21, ironically 21 in both classified and licensed. I'm not sure how that happened, but 21 in both. And so those folks will not be furloughed. So they are not facing any kind of financial impact to the furlough days. So those employees that are not eligible will not be furloughed. They will continue to work on the Fridays. And there are clauses in both MOUs that speak to, kind of the what if factor of the work share program, that, our employees are not going to have a financial impact to this. So
yeah, and Dan, thank you for mentioning that. And Jonathan, if it's okay if I chime in, that was one thing that I was going to say. And just to go back to the question you asked that Dan answered about, people could be making more and that type of thing, is ultimately it's going to be up to each individual person can decide what they want to do in terms of applying or not applying. That's ultimately each individual's choice. On the ineligibles, just so people kind of know what that's about. People that have been with the district that are full-time for less than 6 months, people that have been with the district for less than 12 months that are half-time or less, and people that are already temporary employees, and also people that are already drawing from PERS and working back some. those are people that would be ineligible. So there's approximately, we've identified potentially up to 45 people in the district that would fall into that category.
Thanks, Steve. No, that's great, and I appreciate the clarification on the rest of it.
I have a quick question. So I know we're not the only district to be doing this. I'm wondering if we've had any guidance from ODE or others about whether we'll need to make up the instructional time.
We will not be required to make up this instructional time. So on next year's Division 22 assurances, we may be required to report this loss of instruction time. But I kind of think they are in the process of redefining the Division 22 requirements for this year that will be reported next year. So this is really just not a concern.
Okay, thank you.
Good question, though. Thank you.
Any other questions from board members?
I just was wondering about, I know you have a plan to get a website with FAQs out to the public. Do we have an estimated time that might be online?
That's ready to go now, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw it today.
Yeah, I think it's already up there.
Thanks to Kim Dowd for her tremendous effort to put a draft FAQ document together, and then today to get it put on the website. Now there's, little tidbits of information that are being added or changed, that type of thing. It's kind of a living, breathing FAQ on our website, but there's a lot of information on there right now.
It was fantastic, Kim. Good job. I looked at it and it was great.
Yeah, and just thank you to everybody involved. I imagine that there might have been, not a lot of sleep last night, and waking up early today to make sure that we got this done. So thank you to everybody who has made that effort.
And I'd like to echo, Kim Dowd. I mean, there's a lot of people, and I don't want to short anybody, but she was somebody who, when people had questions, we kind of was like, well, is Kim available? Can she join the group to answer a lot of the questions? She really set both associations' mind at ease with her knowledge of how it works. So real shout out to Kim for that, because it probably brokered the deal.
Definitely a lot of people involved, and like Dan said at the beginning of the meeting, both associations, the representatives for both were just fabulous to work with. Very, very, very collaborative. And then the entire team at the district office pitched in any way possible. And so I know there's a lot of people on this meeting, and if the board does approve this tonight, I just want people from the associations to know there'll be follow-up communication coming out tomorrow about kind of the execution of the plan and how when people will be getting the application materials they need and how that whole thing will work. We'll be getting all those logistics laid out tomorrow and communication out tomorrow so that we can really get to work on getting those completed and collected early next week.
Jonathan,
Yeah.
Move.
I'm sorry, Irv, I didn't hear what you said.
I said I'm ready to move forward.
Great. I will certainly accept the motion to approve the request to furlough. I believe it was up to or exactly 5 days. I'm not sure the right wording. I don't have it in front of me.
I move to approve the plan to furlough SFSD employees.
I second it.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Well, sorry, I'm going to roll call for Debbie. Okay, I'm just going to go in the order I see you guys. Shelley. That's a thumbs up. I'm a thumbs up. Lori.
Thumbs up.
Jennifer.
Yay.
Janet.
Yes.
Irv.
Yay.
Tom.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0, unanimous. And with that, there are no further agenda items for tonight. And I will be closing the meeting. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.